Balloon Kid was released in October of 1990 for the Nintendo Game Boy. Bit of a strange oddity in that it was actually developed by Nintendo themselves, but only released in America and Europe. Which is really strange to me because it's actually a sequel to Balloon Fight on the NES. And to me that just seems like a strange sequence of events, and I can't seem to find too much information on it other than the crappy reliable wiki. But all it says is that it was designed. It was designed by Nintendo and released over here in America and not in Japan. And I guess later on it received a kind of a port as a Hello Kitty kind of game. They just reworked the sprites, but it's kind of interesting to me. I wish there was more information on it, which I cannot find. This is Balloon Kid on the Game Boy. It's one of my first games, I believe, for the Game Boy. I can still remember the box. It features not the cutest looking red-headed girl with a big smile on her face as she's about to be eaten by a big fish. Challenge, adventure, and sky-high excitement. Ooh. Yeah, this is Balloon Kid. This is one of the ones I played a lot, just along with Super Mario Land. It's a fun game, and the thing about this game, which is very strange for the time, is you are playing as a girl in the little town of Pennsylvania. Do you get it, everybody? The Japanese again, with that wonderful naming they have. There lived a brother and sister who loved to play with balloons. Alice and her younger brother Jim would spend endless days filling the skies with their balloons. One day, Jim filled all his balloons and tied them together to make a beautiful balloon rainbow across the sky. What a great idea this was, Jim, said Alice, but please be careful. Wouldn't you know it, a big wind blew Jim out to the sky, and Alice is determined to save him. And meanwhile, Jim was thinking, I'll leave some balloons as a trail to come behind. And so we're this girl, Alice, and we're actually going from right to left, very uncommon in platformers back in the day. We're going from right to left, and we're trying to, pick up balloons for score, and we're just trying to get to the end of the stage. Right now we're in a little bonus area, which is very easy to find for the first few levels, and it becomes a little trickier later on. But yeah, we're trying to get all the balloons. We get all the balloons, and we get an extra life. It's pretty simple stuff, but this is actually fun and addicting. It gets very hard towards the later end, as does the entire game itself. The entire game actually designed, a little cute picture of a little girl. Check her out on the manual, by the way. Very cute in the manual, not like the box. I don't think she's very cute in the box at all, but the manual, she's a very cute little thing. Manual describes Alice as the heroine, Jim as her mischievous younger brother, Sam as Alice's friend and eternal rival. I guess that's just the palette swap for when you want to play two-player mode. Talk about the girl aspect of this game. I know there's a big deal made about sexism in the computer industry, gaming industry. There's a good reason for that, from the design aspect of it all. From the designers who choose the characters they want in their games and how they depict females and all that. There definitely is a little bit of sexism, there is sexism in the video game industry, and the designers themselves. There aren't too many women, especially back then. There were not too many women in that industry. However, I have to say, from the player's aspect of it, this was not a big deal to me. I did not give two thoughts to this character being a girl. And this was one of my first Game Boy games, probably my second or third one, and I'd already been gaming on the NES and the Amiga, and this was not a big deal, and I already had played games with girls as characters, too. It's just, I'm telling you, as a player, this was not a big deal, and as players, as nerds, we like girls, okay? We like there being girls in games, in any aspect, as a side character, as a love interest, or indeed just to play as them, as a role-playing element. Nerds have always liked all sorts. We like to play as dwarves. We like to play as elves. We like to play as whatever, giant blob monsters. We do not care. We like role-playing. That is the thing. That is what we like about games. That they put you in all kinds of weird situations that you aren't faced in your normal life. So this is crap that we actually enjoy. I have to say I don't personally make much of a big deal out of this character being a girl. In fact, I did not think about it at all until the subject of this review and some other stuff that I saw in recent videos of people. It just made me ponder the aspect of, well, you know what, this game made a long time ago, and this game actually had a character as a girl, and just made me think about that. It made me ponder the whole sexism thing in the gaming industry, and you guys might have a point with the design aspect of it all, but in terms of players, we were never said we love women more than anything. There's no more. You could never meet a person that loves women more than the stereotypical nerd, I would have to say. So as we fight the first boss in the game, let's get into some game mechanics here, because it's actually kind of odd. The boss fights are particularly hard in this game, because the entire game is utterly based on the controls of this girl flying the balloons. The whole control, all of the controls are based on this balloon flight mechanic. And even the mechanic of flying, well, it's floaty. Floaty controls, that's a term. It's intentionally floaty because you are floating, you're flying around. You gotta get used to it. Especially, and every time you get a balloon that's popped, the controls utterly change. It is much harder to fly with just one balloon versus two balloons. That's not just a danger zone mechanic, okay? We got one balloon left. Oh, better be frightened, because one more hit and you're dead or something. No. It's not just that. It's the entire flying aspect changes with just one balloon. Now, perhaps because of this flying element mechanic, they changed completely the way you would think that you should walk when you are just walking without balloons. The mechanics utterly different. You can actually, I think you can actually play a couple levels in this game without any balloons, and you'd be okay. I think the first couple levels maybe, but most of these levels do require the balloons, but you want the balloons because that's what you get used to. And the second you don't have your balloons, it all changes. Just everything is just messed up in the controls. They're way too slippery. You can make the longest jumps imaginable, but you could also die quite easily because you can't stop very quickly. It's just all of that. Without the balloons, everything is different. And sometimes, like during those boss fights, you're forced to drop your balloons and deal with the boss without the balloons. So, in that aspect, you got to get used to some of the mechanics without the balloons, because you're not gonna be able to finish the game without it. But the boss fights are extraordinarily hard because of that issue, because you can't use the balloons during that thing. Let's say these bonus areas in the game, they're very important to get used to and to play and win, because you see, we have 13 Alices right now. We will need all of them, as a matter of fact, because this game is deceptively easy. You see, like right there, well, you figure you got to get that thing just right. This area, it slowly introduces you to harder and harder mechanics, and by the end of this game, you're gonna have a hard time. Okay, it makes itself out to be a kiddies game. It's not. Okay, here's a boss fight, an example of just how hard this game can be, because that's an instant death pit of water. You can fall into the water, your ass is dead. And the controls, as mentioned, very much different. It looks easy, you think it's easy, it is not easy. As with many side-scrolling Nintendo games of that era, the only reason it looks easy is because I had to, play it many times and fail. It is actually some of the hardest boss fights I've had. It seems easy because it's only 3 hits. 3 hits and the boss is dead, which is very different from some boss fights, which can take a hell of a lot more hits. But this game, it took me a while to master, again, after not playing it in many, many years. I had to get to those boss fights. That's where I lost almost all of my lives, was on these boss fights. I didn't lose it during normal gameplay. I would get through most of the gameplay, and then suddenly Suddenly I get to the boss and I'm dead. But don't make any mistakes. Here's some more new mechanics. These damn
Fuck you.
lightning bolts. These lightning bolts that will come out of nowhere, and suddenly the game, in only stage 5 here, it's a lot harder. And all of these things, they're instant death. Instant death. Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. We did not see this coming, did we? Although the original balloon fight did have a lot of those things. This was yet another game I went into figuring, you know, I would have a nice, easy time playing it because, well, it's a little kiddies game, right? The little cute girl on the... Well, she wasn't that cute on the cover, but... cute girl in the game manual, anyway. You think this is going to be an easy game. This is not an easy game. This is a difficult side-scroller using the auto-scrolling method, which has always been a pain in any gamer's ass. We do not like auto-scrolling levels. We always hate them, and the entire game, pretty much, except those bonus levels, it's all auto-scrolling. So, that is a mechanic that is very difficult, because you can't think. You gotta just go with the flow. And with all of these instant death, lightning, electricity bolts going around, very hard. Those little rain things, it's like gravity. Those rain elements are instant gravity. They pull you down. So you gotta keep flying. Now here's an area that forces you to use both your balloons and walking. So now we're getting into more difficult platforming here. We're forced to chuck our balloons and walk under these little ceilings, and then we gotta quickly put our balloons back up. And you know how you figure this out? Because you die. You get rid of your balloons, and you think, okay, let's just wait a second here, and then you get fried by these fire bolts that are instant death. And there's just so much of this game, like most side scrollers of the era, is memorization there. You gotta make this long leap of faith right there. This whole game, it's all about memorization. So what makes this game stand out in the plethora of platforming games out there, despite, you know, I'm not even gonna put the girl aspect into it. What makes this game stand out? Well, it's got an awesome little strange mechanic in the balloon, the flying aspect of it, not seen very often. That's number one. But number two is it's got excellent scenery. Other than how the game started in Pencil Land with this terrible pencil background, which didn't make any fucking sense, and it was all generic grassland kind of thing anyway. Other than that first scene, it's all been a delight. Just like the tropical scene, the ocean scenes, to you're going inside of a whale. We were inside of a whale earlier. And it transitions you nice, you know, the whole journey, the stage before the whale, it's a journey, and you see the whale at the end, and then you come out of the whale at the end of the whale stage, and now we have the ice land, and the ice world has ice mechanics, and the boss, another tough boss, because he throws this thing at you, and now you gotta use both the balloon and your walking mechanic too, because you gotta float up, so he throws his little hat in that general direction. He has to throw it upwards, otherwise he's gonna throw it at your ass, and you're gonna get hit, and it's gonna suck. So, in this instance, we had to use the balloons for a second, get rid of them, fly on his ass, and then pump up those balloons again. And I'm telling you, by this point, the stages themselves are a pain in the ass. I am getting a little pissed off at the game by this point. The various ways this game is deciding to kill me. And you can hear it in the background as it becomes a pain in the ass. And it's all about memorization here. And I had already played this area, and at the very last second I'm like, oh no, I forgot, crap, you just gotta whiz past that area. So it's again, it's about memorization, and I think a lot of it is that it took me time to get to this point the last time, and again, I'm already losing lives. I only have 2 lives left, and I know I need those lives coming up here. So it's upsetting me. That's an example of where they start to hide those bonus levels eventually. I don't even know where all the bonus levels are, but by this point, the bonus levels themselves are hard to complete. Let me tell you a little bit about how I go about collecting some of the footage for some of these games. Now, a game like Sonic the Hedgehog, which I just did, I collect all of the footage for that instantly. I haven't played Sonic the Hedgehog in over a year, and that is when I decided to do the video for that, because I know the game so well. I just know I'm gonna beat it. I don't need it, and it's my goal not to play it perfectly, because I don't want you guys to see me play a game 100% perfectly. And I know Sonic so well that if I had practiced it at all, I would have played it perfectly during the video. And I wanted you to possibly see some mistakes. This game, I hadn't played it in years, so I played it beforehand just to see if I needed to practice or anything. And I did need to practice a little bit, but I beat the game. I was able to beat the game. And then I just waited. I waited over a week to play it again for the footage, and that's when I started to record. Because I didn't want to completely memorize what I had to do again, because I want you to see the human element in this thing. Because a game like this, you cannot appreciate it completely unless you see somebody fail. If you go on to World of Long Plays and you watch this game, you are going to get the wrong idea completely, and you're not going to understand that, yeah, maybe it's a fun little game, yeah, but how hard is it really? You have to see some of the fails, and somebody has to talk about it, and you actually have to see somebody failing a little bit. My goal always to have that human element and to be as genuine as possible, which is one of the reasons why I never script anything. I sometimes do voiceovers rather than live things, but no matter what, it's always unscripted. Sad to say that there just isn't. Oh, fuck you too, man. Fuck you too. There just isn't enough of that genuine stuff on YouTube anymore. So yeah, we had to continue. We had to use a continue, and which starts you off at the beginning of the stage, and these stages are long. This is actually the final stage. There's only 8 stages, but they're all... I have to say, I recommend this game fully to anybody that's into a game that progressively gets more difficult and challenges you. It's completely deceitful in the fact that you're going to think it's going to be easy, and it starts off nice and easy, but it's not easy. You're gonna need to memorize it a little bit, which it's a perfect little platformer in my opinion. I really like this game. I played it as a kid, and I won it as a kid. I had the time and patience to memorize this stuff, but it's not super duper hard. It's not a game like Battletoads or something where you have to really sit down and it's like a test. You really got to study it in order to memorize that game, in order to beat it. It's not like that. Anybody that takes their time to memorize this stuff is going to get to the point where they will memorize it. So you have the ability, you have the option, you can do it. Anybody can do it, but it's not gonna be easy. Play the game, you die a lot, and you slowly learn, just like that. We learn that we can get that hard, and we learn that we gotta go over there fast. And we learn that we gotta quickly get that balloon, so we can get over here to where the final boss is for the entire game. I think this one is going to surprise everybody when you first see it. It's Oscar the Grouch, everybody. Yes, in the tin can there. Oscar the Grouch. But it starts off with that dun, 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 dun music, and then what do you get? You get the fucking Three Stooges or something. It is like, look at this robot. He's doing Three Stooges slapstick humor at you suddenly. This music is out of nowhere, and yes, it's a difficult boss battle because of the fucking electricity and shit. Again, and you don't have your balloons, and you'd be stupid to use the balloons with all these electricity flying around. And he's not even 3 hits anymore. This one takes more than 3 hits. It's that music, and just the way it's animated, it's just crazy. It's like you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. I happen to actually love it, how at the end here, it just gets all crazy on your ass. It was completely unexpected, and I didn't remember that from being a kid. It just seems so out of place, but I happen to love it. And then as soon as you defeat the Tin Man there, we finally rescue our mischievous little brother, and we float off. float off in our little end scene here. Nice music here. The game features nice music, by the way. Just for the most part, nice. Congratulations, everybody! We beat another game. But don't go anywhere. The review's not quite over yet, as the credits remix the music a lot. I always love when credits remix some of the music just a little bit. Always nice and exciting. You're all gonna want to stick around for the end of this one because it's unlike anything I've ever seen before. Right there. We just rescued we spent the entire game rescuing our brother, and I don't know if I like that or not. He falls out. The balloon pops, and your brother, I guess he's dead. I guess your brother just died because, from my experience, falling into the void in this game kills you. So, wow. What a weird and strangely unsatisfying end that was. But it's not the only mode of this game. There is also the second mode, called the Balloon Trip, which was also inspired from the original NES game, Balloon Fight. And this is one that I do remember playing this as a kid quite a bit. I cannot remember if there's an end to it or if it's just an ongoing forever scored challenge. I can't exactly pinpoint that because I didn't bother play it too long in this playthrough because, well, I didn't care. Normally speaking, in games these days, if it has a story mode, I mean, if we're talking games with story, I prefer the story mode. And if it has an alternate thing you can play for Highscore, I don't really even bother with it. But nevertheless, it does feature some cool things, like this just never-ending fucking lightning bolt thing with these air bubbles. You hit the air bubbles and it stops time for you, which I guess can be a blessing or a curse, because that right there, I could have just killed myself because of that fucking air bubble, because it stopped time, stopped those things from moving, and I almost slammed my ass right into them to be electrocuted. Thinking back upon it, back when I was a kid, I think I actually played this mode more than the actual single-player mode, just because, I don't know, for some reason I must have liked this. I must have liked this as a kid. That rank thing, I don't know what the fucking rank thing is. Again, like any game like this does not save. It doesn't save your high score, so who gives a shit about bullshit arbitrary ranks that the programmers put in there? Fuck you people. But that's Balloon Kid, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the review. I like it. Goodbye.